Hello, everyone. This is going to be the second. Excuse me. This is going to be the second video on answering full preterism, and I was looking at a comment on the last video, and someone brought up David Green's article on the 101 time statements, which I personally don't want to give quick answers to after examining it more, because I think that there's a lot more going on with the New Testament, and you can't just narrow it down to these little time texts, because some of them are very you need to have them within the corpus in which they exist. You can't just take them, the little blurbs, and use them as a bumper sticker kind of thing. You can't just address them like that. So I felt it needful to try to do topics on this channel. As I said in my debate, or my discussion with Tristan Gabriel, I brought up the fact that something about the saints' dominion. This is a super important doctrine because it disproves full preterism, but it's also a very neglected teaching of the church. The Bible teaches that the saints were to receive the kingdom in the first century. And we're going to go over and review that in Daniel today. We're going to go to Daniel chapter 7 and start at verse 13. And I'm going to bring up a bunch of other time statements as we go into it. So let's head over to Accordance. And Accordance is right here. So, where to begin? So, I have a whole list of scriptures that are related to the last days or the later times, and also I have a bunch of things about Hebrew grammar. Deuteronomy 31, 39, or 29, is a big one. Matthew 25. But I have to go to the enthronement of Christ is a big doctrine that we need to address. So Psalm 110:1, Yahweh says to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies as a footstool for your feet. Go to, but from now on the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the power of God. That's Luke 22:69, which very much echoes Matthew 25 when he comes in the glory of when he comes to sit on his glorious throne, and he comes with the heavenly hosts. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, who is sat at the right hand of the throne of God. So he had sat down, but way before, because Hebrews was written before 70 AD. I agree with that. So yeah, when you look at this makes perfect sense of this. But there was an expectation of the saints' dominion, and I wanted to show this because I think it's a massive part of New Testament theology that just gets brushed out of the way. So we're going to put in Matthew 19, 28 to 30, and we're going to put in Matthew 20 to 28. Now, I'm going to go to the end of that, Matthew 19:28. And Jesus said to them, truly I say to you, that you who have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man will sit on his glorious throne, you also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So there was a forensic motif that was given. The saints were to receive an authority. And we're going to figure out where Jesus really gets this teaching from, because it isn't just from, Jesus's, own words. It actually comes from Daniel chapter 7. And it also proves why there was such an expectancy factor for the New Testament authors with the first resurrection and all of these other elements of what many try to call eschatology, but really is not eschatology. So truly I say to you that you who have followed me in the regeneration, again, you keep this in mind, and everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or fathers or mother or children or farms for my name's sake will receive 100 times as much and will inherit eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and the last first. Now we're going to Matthew 20. Okay, so, and then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to him, John and Andrew, came to him with her sons, bowing down and making request of him. And he said to her, What do you wish? She said to him, Command that in your kingdom these 2 sons of mine may sit, one on your right and one on your left. But Jesus answered and said, You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink? They said to him, We are able. He said to them, My cup you shall drink, but to sit on my right hand and on my left hand, this is not mine to give, but is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father. And hearing this, the 10 became indignant with the 2 brothers. But Jesus called them to himself and said, You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great men exercise authority over them. It is not this way among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you shall be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you shall be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. So you notice that this is right off the back of piggybacking right off of the topic in Matthew 19. It's a continuous narrative. Jesus is explicating that the kingdom of God, that the regeneration was when Christ, the Son of Man, will sit on his glorious throne, which happens in Daniel 7, and we're going to get to that in a moment. So I'm going to pull up Daniel 7 as well. Daniel chapter 7. Verse 13 to... I'm going to just bring up Daniel 7. Okay. In the year of... This is the vision of the 4 beasts. This is the Roman Empire. We're not going to get too much into this. The 4th beast is relevant due to the timing of it. It's referring to the Roman Empire. Yeah, and then now you have I kept looking, right? So the 4 beasts are displayed. After the 4th beast, then the Ancient of Days is displayed. I kept looking until thrones were set up, and the Ancient of Days was seated. And his clothing was like white snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was ablaze with fire, its wheels were a burning fire. A river of fire was flowing and coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands were attending him, and myriads upon myriads were standing before him. The court sat, and the books were open. Then I kept looking because of the sound of the boastful words which the horn was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was killed, and its body was destroyed and given to the burning fire. So, very interesting imagery there. The burning fire. As for the rest of the beasts, their dominion was taken away, but an extension of life was given to them for an appointed season of time. I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven, one like a son of man was coming. And he came up to the Ancient of Days and came near before him. Remember Stephen in Acts 7. When he's looking up into heaven at his martyrdom, he says he sees Jesus standing at the right hand of the Father. So, vindicating again, what had happened. And to him was given dominion, glory, and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and men of every tongue might serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which will not be taken away, and his kingdom is one which will not be destroyed. Now this is important because there's more than just that. That's the dominion of the Messiah, right? And then the servant. Remember what Jesus said though, the greatest of you all is the one who is the servant of all, right? Hence the motif. So there's a practical theology to this kingdom inheritance doctrine that he was teaching to them. there's an actual practical application to this. As for me, Daniel, my spirit was distressed within me, and the visions of my head kept alarming me. I came near to one of those who were standing by and began seeking out from him the exact meaning of all this. So he said it to me and made known to me the interpretation of these things. Now listen, these great beasts which are four in number are four kings who shall arise from the earth. But the saints of the highest one will receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever for all ages to come. Then I desired to know the exact meaning of the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, extraordinarily fearsome, with its teeth of iron and its claws of bronze, and which devoured, crushed, and trampled down the remainder with its feet. And the meaning of the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, and before which 3 of them fell, namely that horn which had eyes and a mouth speaking great boasts, and which was larger in appearance than its associates. I kept looking, and that horn was waging war with the saints and overcoming them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given in favor of the saints of the highest one, Revelation chapter 6, and the season arrived when the saints took possession of the kingdom. So the time factor that's going on here was them receiving this kingdom. Continue, and more. I'm going to continue reading. Thus he said, the fourth beast will be a fourth kingdom on the earth. So the fourth beast is a fourth kingdom as well. 4 kings, 4 kingdoms on the earth, which will be different from all the other kingdoms, and will devour the whole earth and tread it down and crush it. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings will arise, and another will arise after them. And he will be different from the previous ones, and will make low 3 kings. He will speak words against the Most High, and wear down the saints of the highest one, and he will intend to make changes in seasons and in law, and they will be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. But the court will sit for judgment, and his dominion will be taken away, annihilated, and destroyed forever. Then the reign, dominion, and the greatness of all the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be given to the people of the saints of the highest one. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all the dominions will serve and obey him. So, I mean, that sounds like that. Now, if this was to apply to, and let's throw a bone, to a position that I don't know if I'm necessarily convinced of, but there's good cases that can be made from the text. Let's just throw a bone and say that this originally had nothing to do with, it's kind of like Isaiah 13 with the fall of Satan, right? It wasn't originally meant to be, or at least the meaning to Isaiah and his contemporaries wasn't that Satan, there was a spiritual being, but Christ, the Messiah, says that there actually is a spiritual being named Satan. That's an actual evil force, spiritual force. Consider that interpretation as something that should still be, thought of when interpreting Scripture. And it says, then the reign, the dominion, and the greatness of all the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be given to the people of the saints of the highest one. So they were to receive this kingdom, and his kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, Daniel 7, 13 and 14, and all the dominions will serve and obey him. At this point, the matter of this revelation ended. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts were greatly alarming me, and the splendor of my face changed. But I kept the matter in my heart. So, this is very interesting. Now, I'm going to go to Daniel 12, and I'm actually going to bring up the Greek version, because I actually agree with Daniel 12:4 in the Septuagint Old Greek tradition. I don't agree with the Masoretic text. It sounds off. And when you hear this, when you hear the Septuagint version of Daniel 12:4, once I get to that, you're going to be shocked. So, Daniel 12, I'm going to bring up Daniel 12 as well. And this is relevant to the topic. So, and I'm going to read to you all the Old Greek version of Daniel 12. and translated, of course. In the first year of Belteshazzar, no. Oh, wrong verse. Way wrong. Okay, Daniel 12:1. Now, at that time, Michael, the great prince. Now, when he says now at that time, and in that time, right, this is piggybacking right after the events of Daniel 11, which, if you read Daniel 11, you know that it's talking, I believe it's Julius Caesar, might be wrong. There was a king that was allied with Israel. They were like, fine with each other, and he asked the Jews if they could let him, he could let his army go through to go fight a war, and he had died without the Jews helping him, and that's what Daniel 11, I believe I don't remember the last verse of Daniel 11, what number it is, but you can look into that. I recommend Daniel Rogers in the Days of These Kings. It's really good. It explains a lot of this stuff. But concerning the text at hand, now at that time, Michael the great prince, who stands guard over the sons of your people, will stand, and there will be a time of distress such as never happened since there was a nation until that time. Matthew 24 language there. And at that time, your people, everyone who is found written in the book, will be rescued. Okay? So they were to be rescued. Those who were written in the book of life, those who were saved, those people were going to be rescued from the destruction. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the ground will awake, these to everlasting life, but to the others to shame and everlasting contempt, reproach and everlasting contempt. And actually these, Daniel 12:2, Verabim, and many will of those who asleep, Mishni, Admat, Afar, Yakitsu, and they will awake, Ella, these ones, Lechaye, to life, Olam, to life everlasting, Ve'ele, and these, La Charafot, to shames, Liadirion Olam, and to everlasting contempt. So, and it's weird how it uses these here. So it seems like it's showing two groups, some sort of forensic judgment. And notice it doesn't say all will awake. It says many who will. Right? That many will. And those who have insight, now it might be 12. No, it's 12 verse 3, not 12 verse 4. In Daniel 12:3 it says, and those who have insight will shine brightly like the stars of the expanse of heaven, and those who lead the many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Now, I disagree with that. I actually agree with the Septuagint, Old Greek tradition of Daniel 12, and I'm going to read that out. So let me find that real quick. Oh, not that one. That's the first volume. Okay, so go to Daniel 7. Daniel chapter 8. Daniel 12. Now, I'm going to show you verse 4. Look, and now this is Greek Daniel 12. And those understanding, those understanding, they will appear as the stars of the heaven, and those being strengthening, or being, I guess you could say, strengthened by the words of me, as the stars into the eternity of eternities. And you, Daniel, can seal the commands, and to seal the book, heos kerus sintelias, until a time or a season of completion, until until they may go insane. It's actually maname is used there. Apomanosen, until they may go insane, or go mad, or become enraged. Until they may become enraged, many. And it is filled, the land, or the earth, in this case the land, of unrighteousness. So he's saying that the land will be filled with unrighteousness, which makes perfect sense with the New Testament narrative about this increase in wickedness. Where does that come from? It comes straight from this textual tradition of Daniel. So there must have been an older Greek version of Daniel that circulated, and there was an older Hebrew tradition that taught that there was going to be this increase in unrighteousness in the land of Old Covenant Israel. Shocking. But as for you, Daniel, conceal the words and seal up the book until the time of the end. Now, verse 4, seal until the time of completion. Syntelias tu Jonas is a good synonym of Keru Syntelias. It never says anything about knowledge increasing. Not even there. Now, I do want to, if there is a variant here, I want to know what scholars say about the variant, because I don't know Hebrew as well as I know Greek. I could read the Hebrew all right. Verse 4, Ve'achat Daniel Setom Ha Devarim, seal of the book, Ve'achatom, seal the book, seal the word, and seal up the book. Ha Sefer Ad 8 Kates, until a time of end. Ishotu Rabim Betirbe will increase Ha Da'at, the knowledge. So it's interesting the way that's said. Something to examine there for sure in the textual variant, but there is no. I don't agree with the idea of this knowledge it will increase thing. I don't think that is the right way. I think the correct understanding is the Septuagint Old Greek version of Daniel 12:4, and there's a lot of interesting things too that are really weird in Daniel 12. That are addressed in the Septuagint, and I'll get to those in a moment. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, two others were standing, one on this bank of the river, and the other on that bank of the river. And one said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, how long will it be until the end of these wonders? This word wonders, the pele, right? Wonders, or that's never even seen in Septuagint Daniel 12. This is and actually this is one of the things I wanted to bring up. Daniel 12 verse 6. Keipa to heni ta visina to panopate un sintalia hon irikasmi ton damaston kea katharismas. It's really interesting because this gets even crazier. I didn't even notice that. Actually, I was incorrect. It seems on this. There was this. This might not have been one of the variants, but this is still a notable variant. So, in the Septuagint version, I'm actually going to read to you the Greek version, what it says here in the Old Greek tradition. And I said to the one, having been clothed in linen, above, when therefore is the completion of the things you have spoken to me, of the wonders and the purification of these things, literally, and the purification of these. There's no things. You wouldn't say that in Greek. Right, in Daniel 12:7, and I heard the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, as he raised his right hand and his left hand toward heaven, and swore by him who lives forever that it would be for a time, times, and half a time. I believe that's the 42 months that John spoke of. And as soon as they complete shattering the power of the holy people, all these events will be completed. Right? The end of the days will have been completed. So let's look at Daniel 12:7. El HaMashiach. Okay. As for me, I could not understand. Heard the man et ha'ish levush habadim asher mi ma'al, from upon the waters, and he swore Yamit El Hashamayim, to heaven, times, and half a time. And as soon as they complete, for to an appointed time of appointed times. Yeah, I want to look at the Hebrew grammar of this a little bit more, because there's a lot of words here I don't know. Many of which I do. But I want to examine this grammar a little bit more before I make a comment on that. When it comes to Daniel 12, though, continuing all these events will be completed, I think that I want to look into the wording for that. As for me, I heard but could not understand. So I said, my Lord, what will be the outcome of these events? Then he said, go your way, Daniel, for these words are concealed and sealed up until the time of the end of the days. Many will be purged and purified and refined, but the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand, but those who have insight will understand. But from the time that the regular sacrifice is abolished and the abomination of desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. How blessed is he who keeps waiting and reaches the 1,335 days. But as for you, go your way to the end. Then you will enter into rest and stand again for your allotted portion at the end of the days. Remember Daniel, now we're going right back to Daniel 7:18. Remember, he said that he would stand again at the end of the days. Go back to Daniel 7:18, the reception of the kingdom. That is the allotted portion that was to be given to Daniel. Daniel has already received that. He received that 2,000 years ago when Christ was seated at the right hand of the Father. Then the saints were given access to the kingdom. And they were given power to exercise authority over apostate Israel in the judgment. Remember, Matthew 19, truly I say to you, you guys will be sitting on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So I think that, I guess that answers the dominion of the saints. And I do believe that this dominion of the saints, which is found in 2 Timothy 2:12 and other passages, is a prominent theme of expectancy in the New Testament. And I think it really, what it was for them is this was the expectancy factor of the New Testament, not some sort of eschatological terminus that was to be after the end of the vision. Because remember, these words are concealed and sealed up until the time of the end. So whatever prophecy would have extended beyond this time would have been sealed until, of course, the book of Revelation and the New Testament authors who pick this back up and unseal the vision for the time of the end of the days is near. Hence why that there was this idea of increasing unrighteousness. It all comes full circle. So when you're reading that, And I will look into the wording of Daniel 12, because I may have gotten Theodosian Daniel 12 and Old Greek Daniel 12 mixed up in my head. So I apologize for that. But it is a variant there that is worthy of looking at. You should examine Daniel 12 in the Septuagint and in both textual traditions of it, because the wording for both is radically different. But I think that, in conclusion, we can, figure out more about the text as we explore this whole topic of full preterism. I do believe that the end of the days has happened, because I believe he's referring to, again, that time where, they were to receive, around the end of the days, they were to receive the kingdom, and at the end, apostate Israel's destruction, Daniel 9:24-27 and all of that. So I hope that this video was kind of shocking or enlightening concerning the palingenesia and what the Lord meant by all of these things. I hope that this kind of pushes full preterists more to go away from this heresy that they're teaching, too, because there's implications to this kingdom doctrine that I think extend even to today's time. I mean, it makes sense. If you have a prophecy that was sealed, the words were sealed until the time of the end, then if you have an unsealing in the book of Revelation, you have a time at which the vision's unsealed, and the realities that extended beyond that time were given. Because remember what Daniel says. He says, what is the end of what is the outcome of these events? When is the end of these wonders? When is the end of that? And he says very clearly, go your way, Daniel, to the end, right? And you will arrive, you will enter rest, and then stand again for your allotted portion at the end of the days. Not the final resurrection, the reception of the kingdom. So that's the first resurrection. Remember, they were at around the end of the days. He doesn't say at the end of the days, at the very end of them, you were to receive it. It was at the end, right when, around that time, which was that last generation, between 30 AD or 33, depending on when you think Jesus died, leading all the way up to 70 AD. So if you have that, it makes sense that Revelation would have a little bit of eschatology at the end of it that points you forward beyond the end of these wonders. It makes perfect sense now of what's being spoken of in the text there. So, anyway, for all the brethren, the Christians out there, the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you. Goodbye.